Welcome everyone to my channel. Um, in this set of videos, we are going to be working on the C programming language. And before we move on, it is crucial that you have a development environment set up. You have your development environment well set. That you should probably have a compiler that will enable you to test your C code. In this set of tutorials, we are going to be working on the C from crash. That's from the very beginning of C. If you're a programmer from a different programming language, well, you get it easily. And even if you've never written any program before, well, this videos on C is going to help you have a clue on C programming language. Why learn C? C is how can I say a base for learning programming languages. If you wish to learn other programming languages, well, you could begin from C, and from C you easily master other programming languages. Well, C was developed long ago within the 1960s, and it has known many evolutions. C is one of the is a backbone for the development of part of the Mac operating system, the Windows operating system. It's mainly the main programming language used in developing Unix and the Linux kernel and many other games. It was equally used to develop part of Google Chrome. So well, if you've if you've probably decided to learn the C programming language, welcome. So before we dive in, there are basic C concepts you need to actually have in mind. You need to know about variables, data types, and operators. That's the first step. Now, what's a variable? A variable refers to a memory space that a computer memory space that stores a particular uh, data type, a particular data of a particular type. When I talk of type, I'm going to talk about that. So, what's data type actually? Data type refers to the kind of data that can be stored in a variable. Is it an integer? Is it a number? Is it a word? Is it a sentence? Is it a decimal? What kind of data is to be stored inside the variable? That's what we refer to as data type. So basically, we have three basic data types in C. We have the integers denoted as a int in C. Int we integers are that's positive or negative numbers. So we could have an integer x that could store maybe we say I think 4. We talk about that. So we equally have floating points, floating point numbers. Floating point numbers are some sort of decimals, and they are denoted in C as float. Equally, we have the character data type. A character data type is denoted char and can store only a particular character at a particular moment. That's just one character. It cannot store more than a character. A character, let's say maybe we say Z. We say char Z that holds what value? I don't know. We could say might be a point is a character, a comma is a character. So it could still be a figure, but that figure is not going to be considered as an integer. It's going to be considered as a character. So well, those are the three basic data types in C programming language. So like I just said, we have three data types, basic data types in C. Um, Integers, characters, and floating points, as you have seen before. So another important concept you equally need to know in C programming language is variable declaration and initialization. What's variable declaration? Variable declaration is actually the instance where you actually create a data type, a variable, where you tell the machine that okay, at this point I'm going to be, let's create this particular storage, give it this name, and maybe we are going to be storing this kind of value in it. So how do we declare um, a variable? Well, declaring a variable in C, we need to first of all know its data type. We need to know the data type. We need to have a name we are going to give to it. Those are the two basic stuff we need to have in mind before going ahead to create a data type. So what kind of data is it going to hold and what name are we going to give to it?
That's how we go on with variable declaration. So basically, we have seen the three basic data types that exist in C. So let's try work on the variable declaration. Let's say we want to declare a variable that maybe is going to store someone's age. We say, okay, is an age going to be a decimal? Is it going to be a whole number? Is it going to be a piece of text? Is it going to be a character? Generally, when you ask, you might be, how old are you? You say, I'm 17, I'm 18, I'm 20, I'm 25, I'm 30, I'm 12. You see that these years are not decimals, so they are basically whole numbers. And, so we are going to be talking about integers. So we use the int, and let's say we now give it a name. Now, in the name, giving names in C, we have some bunch of rules we should use. First of all, the name of a variable in C should never begin with a number. It should never begin with a figure. So you cannot say 1H in C and it works. No, that's it's going to generate a lot of trouble. Equally, you should a name should not begin with with a symbol. It should not begin with a symbol like maybe dot h, maybe a stroke h. I don't know. It should actually begin with a character. So you can say h1, you can say h dot, you can say h hashtag, all of that. But before the first character on a name should actually be a letter. It shouldn't be a figure. So now, well, we have declared the variable. We have its name. We have its the data type. That's the type of data it's actually going to hold. That's variable declaration. And remember, it should end with a semicolon. That's one of the syntax in C. C is equally case sensitive. That's something important you should know about C. You cannot use capital I for int. It's not going to work. So you allow the int the way it is, and maybe h you can play with it the way it is. Just that once you give a name to a data type, avoid using complex names. Use simple names that you're going to actually master along the line. Equally, what you need to know about variable names is that they should not contain spaces. You cannot call a variable my age this way. No, it's not going to work. It's going to cause a lot of complications along the line. So if you want to call a variable my age, you can use the underscore in the place of space. You can say my age, or you could just join them together, but avoid using spaces in within a variable name, and it should end with a semicolon. So that's variable declaration. Now, how do we initialize a variable? Initializing a variable is just giving it a value. That's the first value we are actually giving to it. So when creating a variable, you can actually give it a value. The first value you give to it is an initialization. Let's say we created the variable my age. Initialization can be done immediately during declaration or after declaration. It depends on you. What I'm trying to say is that you can actually say int my age directly equals to, let's say, 21. This is variable declaration and initialization. I've declared and I've initialized it. Or you could still say int my age. You stop there, then you come down again and say, well, my age should initially have the value 23, for example. That's variable initialization. The first value you give to a variable is initializing it. Another concept you need to know about variables is assignment. Variable assignment. What's the meaning of assignment? Just like you can say, okay, you're going to assign this, you assign this person this particular task to this person. That is how we could equally assign uh, values to variables. Giving a value to a variable is assigning it a value. So, well, along my piece of code, I could say, okay, I want to change this my age from 23 to might be 25 someday. I don't know. Now, when I would say, okay, my age should now take another value, 25, for example. At this point, I've actually assigned to the value 25. So, value assignment is a you actually assign a value out of declaration. You initialize only when you actually declare a value and immediately give it a value. That's that about variables. What you need to know else, we'll talk about that along the video. So hope you have gotten that clearly.